What is going on with WWE ruining wrestlers' brands?
Speaking of brands, what's more on brand for a wrestler than his finishing move? And they just don't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, they're kind of pointless. Roll the intro. Let's get into it.
Alrighty, Joe, before we get into those topics, I was watching Raw last night, and man, are the commercials getting out of control. What do what's going on? They don't even show entrances anymore. Commercials interrupt important parts of matches and post matches.
Yeah, there was, a few instances just from Raw from Monday night. Remember, this is Friday night's episode. Raw from Monday night. That, they went to commercial. I think it was at the end of the Bailey AJ Lee match. They went to commercial at the end of it, and they came back, and Becky Lynch was all of a sudden out there beating up AJ Lee. There was a lot of times where, a wrestler would come out, their music would hit, and they would walk to the ring, they'd cut to the commercial and come back, and the other wrestler's already in the ring. I don't know what the thought process is there. I think that's hard to build. I know it's money based on commercial revenue, but what about the money based on the wrestlers, like the people watching, interacting, like wanting to be part of that wrestler or whatever, buying their merchandise and stuff like that, right?
Selling the CDs, selling the music online.
Yeah, I think it's almost like, I don't know, I'm guessing they probably make more money off the commercials, right? Or they would do it the other way, but it's very strange to me.
It's hurting the product.
Yeah, I think so. Or at least hurting those wrestlers, right? You get the big name wrestler, and usually I'd say 97% of the time, not all the time, but 97% of the time, whatever wrestler gets an introduction is the one who wins.
Yeah. So it was, I used to have a prediction watching PLEs growing up. And back in the day, the bigger wrestler always seemed to come out second. Mm-hmm. This is back when there was just a straight pay-per-view and there was no commercial interruptions. The champion would always come out second. And in the rare case a champion came out first, I would always predict that whoever came out second was going to win the match. Mm-hmm. And it seemed to hold up, that they were either the more popular wrestler or the more over wrestler at that time. Yep. And of course, yes, they're going to win the match. But I just don't understand. With Raw, they're doing commercials. We're already paying for Netflix. They're showing commercials on it. But like, they've gotten really good on SmackDown on the USA about, while they're showing the commercial, they're still showing the match in the corner.
Yeah.
Why can't they do that on Netflix? I watch more commercials. Yes, I know the match isn't going to end, but I still want to follow the story the wrestlers are telling.
It's not going to end yet, but I'm waiting for it.
Right.
And then they're going to be like, oh, you should buy tickets to the show if you want to see the ending of the match or something stupid like that. I can see that happening.
How cool would that be if one day, though, during a commercial, they came back, a match ended during a commercial break, and they came back and apologized to the advertiser and said, we've got to cut back to get you to the end of this match. And then they finish the commercial afterwards, or they re-show the commercial. But to keep people watching during those breaks, spontaneity is a good thing. We talked about that a couple weeks ago on whether we want dominant champions or spontaneity. Spontaneity is good at certain points.
Spontaneity?
Spontaneity. Spontaneous action. Spontaneity. That a match can end at any time. It makes wrestling seem more real, and it's going to make you stay in tuned.
Yeah, I agree. I think these commercials, they hurt. I know they have to have them. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have commercials, but I just think their placement is very strange because there's a lot of just downtime.
Yes.
In Raw and SmackDown where there's just nothing happening. Why not put a commercial there?
Yeah. Or put the commercial in the corner instead of the match in the corner.
The side-by-side thing, which I'm pretty sure AEW started that. So good on them for that.
So speaking of commercials, WWE, I just don't understand some of the recent decisions, cutting out entrances. The idea of just they're hurting their wrestlers' brands. Yeah. You take somebody like a Stephanie Vaquer and Asuka and some of these wrestlers that aren't strong as English. So their entrances, their music, their costumes, everything else about them speaks for their brand where they can't speak for themselves. And, it's just having commercials and all these interruptions really affects the wrestling brands.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of hit it with, they can't speak great English. So it's hard to come across that way. So they need the music. So what does WWE do? They keep changing music. You know, we were watching Raw the other day and, you know, music hit and I was confused on who was even coming out. And it seemed like the crowd was also very confused on who was coming out until Stephanie Vaquer came out, until her name appeared. Then everyone started cheering, right? But you have guys like Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes and stuff. When their music hits, everyone knows, right? That's the brand. That's who they are. And everyone knows that music. But if they continually change music, that's just hurting
Yeah.
the whole overall thing.
Changing the music can signal a brand change. You had
Right.
Hogan for years that came out to Real American.
Mhm.
And then when he came out in the NWO, he used that Led Zeppelin song. I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure it was Zeppelin. But he became known for that song. But they ingrained it in our heads.
But
and
he was
when
a
he
heel then.
when he went face again, he
Mhm.
went back to Real
Yeah.
American. So the music sold his brand.
Yep.
So yes, wrestling, they've got to find something that works and stick to it. Stephanie Vaquer is too new to change music and right in the middle of a title run.
Yeah.
I've never seen somebody change music in the middle of a title reign. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, speaking real quick of Stephanie Vaquer, we were listening last night on, well, I'm sorry, the other day on Raw. And
You were rewatching Raw last
we were
night.
rewatching Raw last night. They pronounce her last name probably 3 or 4 different ways throughout the night. The ring announcer put it one way. Michael Cole did it one way. People in the backstage did it a different way. It was they pronounced her last name different multiple times. This also hurts that brand image.
She's a
right? 'Cause-
champion. Know her
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
know how to pronounce her name.
Know how to pronounce her name. And then the last thing on that is, you know, we kind of merged a bunch of things into one here, but what happened to the big money entrances at the big PLEs? What happened to them?
Every match used to have a big entrance.
Yeah.
In the last couple of WrestleManias, they'd focus on 1 or 2 WrestleManias. Like Rhea Ripley had a big one. I can remember Seth Rollins normally has a big ones. But every
But
match,
even the big ones now aren't as big as they used to be.
yeah, I can remember Seth Rollins coming out once with a flamethrower. Eddie Guerrero used to come out with the
lowrider.
The lowrider. The Undertaker used to bring the bike down and drive around the ring.
I just maybe I could just be remembering it with like what do they call it, rose-tinted glasses,
Rose-colored
right?
glasses. You remember things
and maybe
as a kid?
that I'm just remembering it as a kid. But I feel like the entrances back in the day were way better than they are now.
Even
The Rock coming out with a blowtorch and lighting his name on fire, and it just says The Rock and fire across the stage. You know, stuff like that. They don't really do any of that anymore.
Even something back when entrances were more simple. Like I remember WrestleMania 3 here in Detroit, Silverdome. Everybody came down in these little carts shaped like the ring.
Yeah.
And Hogan walked down.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? Hogan doesn't need it. You know, he's the real American. He doesn't need the ring. Ultimate Warrior, during one of his, they had another cart in another WrestleMania. He ran to the ring like a lunatic, all
He
coked
was
up
a lunatic.
and everything. But yeah, like something they go, you know, these wrestlers, we need these big things. I don't know if it's an insurance thing.
I think it goes back
or
to what
lack
we were
of
talking about
creativity.
before. I think it's a money thing.
Money.
That stuff costs money.
Yeah.
And they don't want to spend the money. Why
Yeah.
spend that money when they're going to make the same money anyway?
Yeah.
You know, it's
Maybe. But yeah,
I feel
moving
like
on,
that's
the bell
missing.
went off. You know, we're talking here about brands and branding, you know, entrances, music, all this sells like a wrestler's brands. You know what the biggest brand for a wrestler was when I was growing up? Their finishing move.
Yeah.
They don't mean anything anymore. That is like, we've talked about this before, but we decided we want to focus on it for a couple minutes. Like,
yeah, it's, you know, and like you said it great earlier, where if you were Jake Roberts and you hit someone with a DDT, that was it.
it was over.
Match was over. If you were Hulk Hogan and you leg drop somebody, over. Randy Savage, big elbow, over. But I mean, now you got Cody Rhodes doing his Cody cutter off the top of a
16
steel
times.
cage, and the guy still kicks out at the end of it. I mean, are they finishing moves anymore? No. The answer is no, they're not. They're just more moves. So I think, yeah, you know, that goes into the brand name thing. These guys are known for this. Why are guys kicking out? Especially, okay, maybe they kick out once just for the crowd pop. Oh, that's crazy. But then if they do it like when Cody did it 1,000 times, the guy shouldn't be kicking out of that.
Yeah,
Or if that's their finishing move, that's their finishing move. It should be over.
You know, there's a joke. Hogan had 5 or 6 moves.
Mhm.
So you knew when he hit the leg drop, it was limited. That's all he had. These wrestlers nowadays are more talented than ever. They have enough moves that they can use to protect their finishing move. Let them kick out of what is that? The kick that Cody Rhodes does. He's got he's got certain, maybe the Cody cutter. People kick out of that. Nobody should ever kick out of the crossroads. When Cody Rhodes hits that crossroads, match should be over.
Right.
The only person, if I recall, that ever kicked out of the leg drop, you know who that was?
No.
Sid Justice, Sid Vicious, whatever he was going through at the time. And you know why he kicked out? Because somebody was supposed to interfere and break up that pin.
Oh, really?
And that person's timing was off, so they had to kick out. And that was huge. The only person to ever kick out of the big boot and the leg drop. Look it up. Yeah. So Hogan's leg drop, well, probably one of the weakest finishing moves of all time, but it was one of the most protected.
Yeah, because that's the other thing, and maybe that should be a topic on a different video, are protected moves, right? Braun Breaker's spear. That should be his finishing move, and no one else should do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of copied finishing moves, everybody does the super kick now, and at one point that was Shawn Michaels' finisher.
And and if that's going to be somebody's current finishing move, that's fine, but that should be the only one that uses it. I mean, Shawn Michaels retired. I don't think the move should be retired.
Right.
But
yeah, before him, it was Haku. Haku did the finisher, and then Shawn stepped it up with Sweet Chin Music, and he stomped into it, and he set it up differently. Yeah. But make it your own.
Yeah, the finishing moves right now aren't even finishing moves. They're just moves. There's nothing finishing about them.
Alrighty. We're talking about brands and all-stars and wrestlers and all that. You know, the wrestler, I think, with the biggest brand of all time?
Let me think. Jimmy Snuka.
Yeah, close. I think they wrestled a couple times, but Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant. Yeah,
I couldn't even tell you what his finisher was. I think it was a bear hug or something. But that was a guy who like very rarely lost, and his brand meant everything. When he was in the ring, he wasn't going to lose unless it was somebody he was putting over like a Hogan.
Right.
The last couple years before WrestleMania, WWE's been doing the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I'm sure they're going to do it again this year. But I think
I heard them say they were going to.
Yeah, you know, was it normally SmackDown before WrestleMania?
It's usually SmackDown before WrestleMania. Yep.
But I think that should be like a bigger event. What do you got any ideas on how they can improve that?
Oh, I do.
Yeah,
I do, Jeff.
I knew you would. New landscaping.
I'm slightly opinionated in case anyone hasn't noticed. So you have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and it's on the SmackDown before, which is fine. First off, it should be part of WrestleMania.
I think it'd be a great opening match.
Yeah. It would be perfect leading into my next thing. I think the winner of that match shouldn't just get this stupid trophy that usually gets broken or something. Someone hits the guy with it or something at the end of it. They should get almost like an Elimination Chamber or Money in the Bank, or what was the other one? Royal Rumble. They should get a guaranteed match. Now, we're kind of going back and forth on what we think that guaranteed match should be. Some of the ideas that we had were they get a guaranteed match at one of the mid-card titles at the next pay-per-view after WrestleMania.
Like Backlash.
Like Backlash or something like that. Or an idea I had, a little more wild, they can insert themselves into any match at WrestleMania. Then it could become a three-way match, right? So, say, I don't know, who's some bum, Rio Bravo Americano wins, he can insert himself into the Cody Rhodes Randy Orton match.
That would be ridiculous.
It would be 100% ridiculous, but you know what? No one would expect it, and it would change that match.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, they wouldn't allow that to happen because that match is too big.
Yeah.
But
I like the idea of a match at a later pay-per-view, or similar to Money in the Bank, especially with them moving Money in the Bank back to September this year. Yeah. You do this match in April, that's 4 or 5 months in between. You kind of have a second Money in the Bank type match for a mid-card, because they've really used the Andre the Giant Battle Royal the last couple of years to push kind of their mid-card wrestlers or their up-and-coming. Like Carmelo Hayes won it, and now he's wearing the U.S. title.
Right. Yeah.
So.
And it's that and a little bit of, we couldn't fit you onto the WrestleMania card, so we're going to let you win this match, which means absolutely nothing right now.
It would be awesome to see someone like a Royce Hobbs. They introduced him. He was in the Royal Rumble. He hasn't really done much since. Let him come out and build that and really build hype with the crowd for him.
Yeah. I think they should do something with that. They can elevate that easily. They can easily elevate that just by putting a match stipulation at the end of it. You win this and you get this, rather than you get a trophy. Doesn't matter. Go ahead, Jeff.
All right. Next topic up was teased on our Wednesday show, but neither of us were happy with the Drew versus Cody outcome, leading to them changing.
I know. I made a hot take all about it.
A hot take. And we were kind of debating how Cody and Randy's heel turn should have gone. We wanted Cody to go heel, Randy going heel made a little bit more sense. I've been thinking about it the last couple of days, and I've got a storyline. It's a bit late for it, but I think it would have been a great turn. So going back, I think Cody should have beat Randy, or Cody should have beat. I'm sorry, start over. Drew should have beat Cody on SmackDown.
Okay.
So we have Drew versus Randy at WrestleMania. Randy's still a heel, but they've been hinting lately. No, Randy's still a face.
A face. I was going to say, yeah, at some point he would have to have turned heel.
So Randy face versus Drew heel at WrestleMania. But they've been hinting that Randy really needs to win. He really wants this championship, right? Who's his buddy right now?
Right now?
Yeah, but then last year at SummerSlam, the singer guy, Jelly Roll.
Oh, Jelly Roll? He pushed him down.
Yeah, Jelly Roll is over with the crowd. His comeback story, his weight loss, his turning his life around, everything like that is over. So you've got Jelly Roll training with Randy Orton till WrestleMania, right? Helping him get pumped up to face Drew. Randy goes in and he beats Drew and he's a face, but he snaps and he starts stomping the hell and destroying Drew, which allows Drew to take time off for his movie. Well, at that point, Randy attacks Jelly Roll. Cody comes out and defends him. So you've got Randy turning heel, fight, and then turns out Cody comes out to interfere. Randy attacks Cody. So that at this point, you've got Randy attacking the most over celebrity right now with Cody Rhodes. That allows the crowd to turn against Randy. I don't think Randy is getting cheered for turning on Jelly Roll like he did for turning on Cody.
Okay.
So Cody then turns around and he comes back. He's off TV for a while. He comes back and he beats Randy later in the year, maybe at Survivor Series or something like that. And at that point, Cody Rhodes gets super arrogant. He comes back and then he starts playing up the angle, the arrogant angle you were talking about and the cocky angle, but he builds it slowly over time. Again, you talked about him wanting to do that now. There's been no setup, but I think giving him more setup and him more turning into the Homelander would be good by him coming out and protecting an innocent like Jelly Roll. And him taking the time off. I really think that's a better way. You turn Randy heel. You have the crowd booing him because he attacks somebody like Jelly Roll and Cody for no reason. And then Cody slowly turns heel over the next year. I know that was a lot, but go ahead.
That was a lot. Yeah. I think that's what I was looking for.
You want to give yourself another 3 minutes?
Yeah, no, I'll go quick. Why is this still going on? Stop. There we go. I think Randy Orton, and I talked about this on my hot take, is at that point in his career that no matter what he does, no matter who he does it to, the crowd is going to cheer.
You think if he had chanted, if he attacked somebody like a Jelly Roll, or
he did it.
Yeah, but he didn't beat him to a pulp.
No,
like I'm talking about giving him the type of beating he gave Cody.
The type of wrestler or the type of celebrity Jelly Roll is, he's not going to do that, right? He's not going to blade himself. He's not going to.
Well, he doesn't have to bloody him, but if you spend if Jelly Roll spends 4 weeks working with Randy to get Randy ready to face Drew, and then Randy turns on him, I think you've got a little bit more reason for the crowd to turn against Randy.
I see what you're saying, right?
Maybe Jelly Roll's not the right celebrity.
I don't think it should be a celebrity, because if I'm Randy Orton and I'm going to fight the monster that is Drew McIntyre, I'm not going to go to Jelly Roll and say, train with me.
But Jelly Roll, he's got a story. Maybe he's just
I
training
can see
alongside
Jelly Roll.
him.
If Jelly Roll was fighting fighting Drew McIntyre, then he would want Randy to train with him. Not sure I follow it the other way, but I think no matter what Randy does, I don't think the crowd's going to boo him.
Maybe you're right.
To your other side of that, where you're talking about they need to set up the Cody Rhodes stuff a little better, I feel like they have been. And that's what led me to think that way. He was doing interviews and podcasts saying, yeah, I'm QB1. I'm the guy. I'm that guy. Yeah. They've already been doing that.
But waiting 6 months to 9 months gives the WWE time to give that other perfect baby face for the fans to latch onto. We don't have anybody right now. Rey Mysterio would be great at that, but he's out injured. John Cena retired. No, I'm just saying, but those baby face fans, those kids who want to root for their hero, the vitamins and the prayers and all that, they don't have anybody but Cody Rhodes right now. So they would give them 6 to 9 months more to put somebody like Javon Evans in that place.
Yeah. I agree that they need to find somebody to fill that role. I do agree with that. And that's probably maybe something they were thinking as to why Cody didn't do that flip. But I think there's a problem when the guy that's your babyface is getting just dismantled on TV and the crowd is cheering for the guy doing it.
Nobody ever cheered when Hogan got smashed.
No.
Yeah. So, all right, we'll move on. That was my hot take. I went a little bit long there, but I had some thoughts. So, all right, last topic of the day. We're going to look at our WrestleMania predictions. We made some last week that went correctly. One in particular, everybody's been predicting it, but we were pretty early on it. Oba versus Brock Lesnar was confirmed this week on Raw. 4 more confirmed matches. We've got Roman Reigns versus CM Punk, Randy Orton versus Cody Rhodes, Rhea Ripley versus Jade Cargill, and Liv Morgan versus Stephanie Vaquer. Those were all determined by the Royal Rumble and Elimination Chamber matches.
Right. Were they really determined by the Elimination Chamber matches?
At least the contestant.
Okay.
The challenger. So we've got 6 more matches that we looked at are pretty much 80 to 90% confirmed.
Yep.
Becky Lynch versus AJ Lee. That looks like it's going to happen. We've got Julia versus Tiffany Stratton. We changed that one. We thought it might be Io Sky. We just threw her name in there. But after last week's SmackDown, I'm looking at Julia versus Tiffany Stratton. Logan Paul versus Austin Theory taking off the Usos. That was almost 100% confirmed. They didn't announce.
And Austin Theory.
Logan Paul and Austin Theory taking on the Usos.
Okay. I thought you said versus.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
Paul Heyman told them to go after the Usos. So it hasn't been announced, but you know what they're building toward.
Yep.
Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu. Where else is that feud going other than WrestleMania?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor. Same thing. Where's that going other than WrestleMania? And then El Grande versus El Grande, mask versus match. That match may happen sooner on a SmackDown or a Raw, but I think that will go at WrestleMania.
I agree.
Any thoughts on those?
No, I think those are pretty much, like you said, 90% guaranteed.
Okay. So filling out the rest of the card, we haven't really changed much, but just to repeat what we said last week, Carmelo Hayes versus Ilya Dragunov. I guess that match again could happen on a SmackDown before, but I think that's set for WrestleMania.
It's going to happen again.
Yeah. Dragunov is putting it off for a reason.
Yeah.
Penta versus Sami Zayn. I don't know who else to put against Penta right now.
Yeah, that was kind of just we have 2 guys that need something to do.
Bailey and Lyra Valkyria announced they're going after the women's tag team champions, so that puts them against Irresistible Forces. We have them also wrestling with Charlotte Flair, Alexa Bliss, and the Bella Twins in a fatal 4-way tag team match.
Ladder match or something like that. Mm-hmm.
Damian Priest and R-Truth are going after the men's tag team champions on Raw. So we've got them going against the MFTs and the Wyatt Six. Gunther's been retiring legends.
Is MFT and Wyatt Six on Raw or on SmackDown?
They're on SmackDown. I apologize. Yeah, no, you're right. SmackDown. The Usos are the Raw champions. Yeah. So, Gunther's been doing all kinds of retirement matches lately. I don't think he's wrestled anybody. He hasn't retired. We had thought he might retire Rey Mysterio, but Rey Mysterio hasn't been on TV in a while. But we've got that listed as a hopeful possibility.
Yeah, Gunther's going to be on the card somehow, I think. I don't think they leave Gunther off WrestleMania.
And then 3 big name wrestlers. We don't really know where their story's going right now, but Seth Rollins, LA Knight, and hopeful return of Braun Breaker. We've got them in a 3-way match against each other.
Yeah. I would say probably the Seth Rollins Braun Breaker one is probably, assuming they're both healed, will be more in the orange. Well, more in the probable category.
Yeah.
I would.
We haven't seen Braun Breaker, so it's hard to put it orange.
Yeah. And I would be very upset if they leave LA Knight off the card.
Oh, they can't. We've talked about him being punished or buried, but you can't leave a star like that off of WrestleMania.
Unless their answer to that is he wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown.
I think that's a bigger slap in the face than him losing another title match.
Yeah, and that's maybe we should have talked about that. That is almost what it is now. If you win that Andre the Giant Battle Royal, it's kind of like a slap in the face. You're not good enough to make it to WrestleMania, but we're going to give you this busted trophy.
But again, that's why you give it to a Royce Hobbs, who doesn't deserve WrestleMania yet, but he's somebody we want to promote. Again, like Carmelo Hayes, who's now our U.S. title champion.
Yeah,
so
I agree. Anyway, that was our thoughts. What are yours? What do you think? Is WWE purposely hurting these wrestlers' brands just to make more side money selling music CDs and whatever
too many
else?
Commercials?
Too many commercials and stuff like that. I say yes. Jeff says yes. Just making sure we're on the same page.
Yeah, we're on the same page there, bud.
What do you guys think? Leave a comment down below. While you're at it, hit like on this video. Subscribe if you haven't already. Anything else?
That's it. Just let us know what you think.
Let us know what you guys think. We appreciate you guys. We're over 150,000 views now. We celebrated that on the last one. I was trying to get Jeff celebrated on this one, but he won't.
I'm still hungover from my recording our last video. One. I'm old. One shot does me in.
But yeah, so thank you guys. We appreciate everything that you guys have done for us. And keep an eye out on Wednesdays for our next full video.
Fridays. And then the Joe Hot Takes on Mondays.
Joe Hot Takes on Mondays and Thursdays.
Mondays and Thursdays, my bad.
There's 2. And then we have Side Quest on
Sundays,
Thursdays, and Sundays.
Okay. And our shorts throughout the week.
And shorts every single day, every hour of the day. So thank you guys. We appreciate it. You guys have a good night. Thank you. Thank you for watching another episode of Wrestle Stop. If you liked what you saw, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon. You can reach us at any of the addresses on screen. And there's a couple extra videos here on the screen. If you liked what you saw, maybe you'll like one of these as well. Thanks for watching.